Hello everyone. This is the day 2 of data science series. In this unit, we will cover how to add an index field using Python. The name of the data science series unit is data preparation. The adding an index field to data in Python can be done in several ways depending on the data type and structures you are working with. First is adding an index to a list of dictionaries. If you have a list of dictionaries and want to add an index field, you can iterate over the list and add the index manually. For example, we take data and go to Google Colab to this output and example will be covered. The output is name alias and this alias index is 0 and the name BOB index is 1 and the name Charlie index is 2. The different index is will be generated because the indexed data is generally enumerate the number of print indexed data. So second topic is adding an index column to a pandas data frame. In a data frame, you can add an index column by setting a column to different index or by adding a new column with range. The example of adding an index import pandas as PD. We take example with a simple and easy way. Name and index from all the codes will be alias 0 and VOB 1 and Charlie is 2. The index will be shows 0, 1, 2, the name of the each characters and each name data. Adding an index to a plain list. For a simple list of items, you can convert it into a list of dictionary with an index. The example will be names, alias, BOB, Charlie. Index data is index, name, and name for I name enumerate names. Adding an index to a SQL query result. If you are working with SQL query result in Python, you can use pandas to add an index column after loading the data. Import panda as PD, import SQLite 3. Example using an SQLite connections. To this, how to change misleading field values using Python. Here are some methods to clean or replace values based on the data type and structures. Changing value in dictionary. This is the first topic of the changing misleading. If you have a dictionary with misleading values, access each key and replace its value accordingly. Data status done priority low. Done might be misleading. Correct the misleading values. The example of the changing values in dictionary are changing value in a list of dictionary. If you have a list of dictionaries and need to replace values, iterate over the list and changes values where needed. Data, the output name alias status experience, name BOB status new. Using pandas to change value in a data frame. For large data sets in a data frame, use pandas to replace value based on a conditions. For example, import panda as a PD. We take to this example in a Google Colab. For the example purpose, simply click the run buttons to the status will be generated and the output will be name one side and status to the other side. Allies, for example, the allies are participating, BOV not participating, and the Charlie participating. Replace inactive and conditional statement. Comments are also used to this example. Using mapping to replace values in a list. If you have a list of values and need to replace specific ones, use a dictionary to map the old to new values. Status use old new old. experience or status map status for corrected status, print corrected status, using SQL to update misleading values in a database. If your data is an SQL database, you can use SQL update query to replace value. The main purpose of the SQL values data set represent to the replace value where the file necessary we are used to this accessing value. Continue is SQLite 3 connect. Go to the cursor to the connecting cursor. Example DB. Update misleading value in SQL. How to re-express categorical field value using Python. The purpose of the re-expressing categorical values means transforming categories in your dataset to a new simplified ones, often to improve clarity or for analysis. The topic of the using a dictionary to map values. Map the old category to new category with a dictionary. The main purpose of the dictionary is the old category to generate a new category. Status used to high, medium, and low. There are three types of example we take using replace in pandas. How to use in replace in panda? The in a panda data frame, you can use dot replace to change categorical values. This is the syntax of the using replace in pandas. Use dot replace. Here are the some example to the import as pada. Using dot map in pandas, the dot map method is also a good way to re-express categorical values in a single column. Data frame priority map dot map high urgent medium normal print data frame. For example, using apply with a function. Use dot apply to a custom function that changes the values. Second is how to standardize numeric field using Python. The standardized numeric field in Python. Scale the values so they have mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. You can use the following method. Using Scikit learns standard scalars. Standard scalar from the scikit-learn library is the most common and reliable method for standardizing numeric data. From scale dot preprocessing import standard scalar import pandas as PD. The sample of the is using standard scalar is sample data frame to be created. The example we take, we can show the example. See the example of this data frame. Manually standardizing Z is this is called Z score normalizations. You can also standardize the values manually by using the formula. This is the formula of standardizing formula where x is the value, mu is the mean of the column, and sigma is the standard deviations of the column. Here are the example which is created by me using min-max scalar. This is the optional. If you want to scale the values between a specific range like 0 to 1, you can use the min-max scalar instead. Here are some example using pandas for simple scaling. You can also scale values using pandas built-in function like mean and standard. Scaling with robust scalar for outliers. This is the if your data contains outliers, you might want to use robust scalar, which is less sensitive to outliers. The from sklearn preposing dot import robust scalar import pandas as PD data frame PD dot data frame. Here the name of the data frame is PD dot data frame and age. According to your giving the values income in your according 1000, 2500, 1200, 4000. Scalar dot robust scalar. Standardize the numeric field using robust scaling. Summary of method. Standard scale data have a mean of 0 and standard deviation is 1. All of the summary methods are included to these sections. The other topic is how to identify using Python. The identify outliers in your data is important of cleaning and preparing it for analysis. Here are several methods you can use to identify outliers in Python using the interquartile range. This is called IQR method. The IQR method is a common technique for detecting outliers. Any data point that lies below the lower quartile Q1 or above the upper quartile Q3 is considered an outlier. This is the example of Q1 and outliers are. Here we will discuss these outliers. This is the basic code of Q1 outliers and Q3 outliers. Sample data frame is called age 22. The age and income. We will identify outliers, calculate income IFR. Explanation. Q1 is the 25th percentile and Q3 is the 75th percentile. IQR is the difference between Q3 and Q1. Using Z-score to detect outliers. A, a Z-score measures how many standard deviations a data point is from the mean. Typically, values with Z-score above 3 or below 3 are considered outliers. See the example of these outliers are Z-scores 3 and Z-score minus 3. Z-scores above 3 or below 3 indicate outliers are as they are far from the mean. Using box plot to visually identify outliers. A box plot provides a visual way to detect outliers. Data point outside the whiskers of the box plot, usually 1.5 IQR from the quartiles, are considered outliers. Import matplot libraries .py plot. This is the previous topic of the matplot libraries. We have discussed the previous topic. Import C1 as SNS. Boxplot visually show the distribution of data and the presence of outliers point outside the whiskers using isolation forest. The isolation forest method is a machine learning technique that identifies anomalies by isolating observations. It's useful when working with high-dimensional data. From sklearn, in .assembles import isolation.forest, import pandas as PD, data frame. This is the example we will create to the data frame from sklearn. All the example we will cover to this Google Colab. Isolation forest identifies outliers by learning the structure of the data and isolating anomalies. Using visualization, scatter plot, and histogram, you can use visualization to spot outliers. For example, scatter plots or histogram help identify data points far from the main distribution. The example of data visualization is import matplot library.py plot as plot scatter plot pit.scatter data frame age data frame income plot x libraries age plot by libraries income plot so outliers in a scatter plot will appear as point they are far from the main clusters. Summary: IQR methods use query to identify outliers outside the range of 1.5 Z-scores. Outliers have Z-scores greater than 3 and minus 3. Box plots, visual method to show data spread and outliers. Isolation forest, machine learning method to detect anomalies. Visualization, scatter plots and histograms are useful for spotting outlier visual. This method will help you to detect and handle outliers in your data for further analysis for pre-processing. Thank you, everyone.